Well, it's about time to go live. We're waiting on Mike, but I'm happy to have you here today for a couple minutes. First, share the program. Just hit share. Do the stuff that you do because this thing is going live, going viral. I can't wait to talk to Mike about all the cool stuff going on. Like every day gets a little bit better, and this was so fun about this whole thing. And so right now, while I'm still got the screen myself, let's talk about Doug Erb and the wonderful artwork that he's for the musical map of Missouri. I got to tell you, the stuff I see every day is so spectacular. It's going to be big and it's going to be coming very soon, maybe even this week. We got some really good stuff, and this whole Kickstarter thing, all the stuff we're doing, it's kind of like happening very shortly. I can't wait to get Mike on here because I don't like to just talk by myself. I like to have a partner. That's what's fun. Let me tell you about I've got great stories for Mike. I've got great thoughts for Mike. Of course, he did not come on here yesterday, and that was different for me. I talked about Brian Hinneman. And of course, the big news in Missouri music this week is that Brian Hinneman is retiring the Bottle Rockets. How unusual is that? In one way, it's yeah, there he is. Let's see. Here we are. There we go. There we go. Hello, Mike.
Hang on, Dale.
I can hear somebody in the background, and I can hear you. So
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
No. Yeah.
I can.
Well,
Yes.
I can't hear you.
You can hear me? Oh Lord, we don't want this.
Oh, I will in a minute. No. Oh, I think it's because they put a new meter on the house a while ago, and they said, "Well, the power is going to be off for just a few minutes."
Oh Lord.
So I think that went through the computer.
I'm assuming that people can hear me though because I'm doing everything right. But they
Come on.
They can send us messages if we're
Come
not.
on. Now, 1, 2. No. Oh, I think I heard you.
Yes, I'm here.
I do hear you.
I do. I can hear me in the background as well.
Can you hear me? No.
I can hear you. Yes. You're fine with me.
Okay, you're fine too.
Okay. Tell me about your medical picture.
I found another guy to talk to.
Who was that?
My friend Tracy out in Steamboat Springs.
Oh,
that I
yes.
got years ago. I told him, I was just on the phone with him. I said he ought to do this someday. I said, all you got to do is say you want to do it and call me, and we'll send you a link.
Absolutely.
And you can just bop in. He goes, man, that sounds like a blast.
Yes, exactly. And he's one of your favorites too.
He's one of my buddies, yeah.
And so we're not supposed to forget that you're a musician. Is that right?
Yeah, don't forget that, people. I don't want people to tune in here before I go. Oh, yeah, this guy, he's a Crane, Missouri historian. He's going to talk about his dad selling cars. Well, I do other stuff.
Exactly. You do a lot of other stuff, and you do it well. You do it really well. And so let's talk about your music career.
Talk about what?
Your music career.
Oh, well, let's see. I worked at Battlefield Mall in Springfield at
Not your work career.
What was the name of it? I worked there when John Lennon died. So as soon as we opened the store that day, we sold anything that had Beatles or John Lennon on it, man, like crazy. Okay. I don't know, my music career. I decided in high school I was going to Sounds like okay. That I was going to do music, and I've been doing it ever since.
Absolutely.
And here we go. Ever since there. Still hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
I can hear you. Fine.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, okay. And I've always been one of them. I don't think I ever played part-time. I was always one that said if you're gonna play and that's one of your passions, then do it all the time. I did. I had years when it's funny, when I worked at Silver Dollar City, me and my bass player, his name's Greg Roberts, we worked in the saloon show, and we would have to, as soon as we got done with the last show of a day, 13 shows a day.
Wow.
We would jump in I had one of those little Porsche 914s, like a Volkswagen Porsche, but the top would come off. You could just step in it, And we, in our hillbilly clothes, head to Joplin to a rock bar, changed when we got there in the bathroom. All of a sudden, we went from hillbilly saloon guys to rock stars.
Right.
Then we'd play to 1 a.m. We get home at 3, get 2 or 3 hours sleep, and head back to Silver Dollar City, and then head back. Man, so yeah, there are some things I did jobs and played on the side, but no, it's and I'm antsy, ready to get going again too.
We both are, no doubt.
Oh, I've had a couple weird days. I mean, I did my hyperbaric thing the other day.
Tell me about that. That's what I want to hear about.
Well, you're in it. It's like an airplane because the pressure goes, and you're yawning.
Right.
Well, when they bring you back out of 90% oxygen, it does the same thing. I could not get this ear to open up.
Right.
And I got home that day, and they said, hold your nose and blow real hard. Sometimes that doesn't. When I did that, I had little aliens in my ear. They were going, they sound like little Martians in there. So I called urgent care, and I said, can you clean out ears? I went down there, and they looked at my ears. They said, there's nothing. Ears are clean. I go, that's awesome, because I don't think they've been clean since I was a little kid.
Right.
So they put me on some ear sprayed up your nose stuff. And then my wound doctor called me today, and they said, Doc wants to see you. So come on over at such a time. So I get there, and he looked in there. He said, yeah. He said, we're going to have to put tubes in your ears.
Oh, no.
Like, what do you mean? I'm going to have like antlers hanging out of my ears or something? Said they're the size of the end of an ink pen, a ballpoint pen. And what it is, you have fluid behind your eardrums that lets them, so they're not just stationary. They kind of go with the sound. This one is leaking the fluid from behind the eardrum.
Really?
So while you're doing and the doctor told me this hyperbaric, the main side effect it can have is it can mess with your eardrums. It's not a permanent thing. So he says, we need you in there every day trying to get this get this well. So he said, I'm going to send you over there. They're going to put they're way down in there by your eardrum.
Right.
So he said, we're going to put those in. And he goes, and Darren, his grandkid, had them, and some of his kids have. They said it's kind of a common thing. They said basically they'll be there for a little while, and then they just kind of fall out or disappear. I mean, they're gone. Yeah. I said, can I listen to headphones or iPods or AirPods? And they go, yeah, probably not when you leave here, when you get it done, but yeah, by that night or the next day. So they wanted to get me in there today so they could get back to these treatments tomorrow. Right. And the guy that does it is out of the office until Monday.
Oh, no.
So I'm not getting healed any, and I'm just at home until Monday.
Right.
Arr.
So not any more treatments until then? Not any more foot treatments till then?
The hyperbaric. Yeah, they said it's going to take some time. They said I'll be taking a lot of treatments. I'm probably like a month or two or whatever it takes. I'm sure you get on there and take it until the infection's killed and you're healing, So I don't think they start out and tell you, oh, you're going to take 5 of them. I think they just tell you it's going to be a lot. Exactly. Then if it's less, it's less. And like I've said, I don't care. I don't care if it's 6 months of them, as long as I have my leg and I'm healthy,
That's the key.
That's a little depressing. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1.
It's all forward. It's all happening.
It's all forward. My doctor today said, I want to get you right back in that chamber thing because I want you in there 5 days a week, He goes,
right.
He goes, because he says, I want to do what we need to do to save that foot. I didn't like hearing those words, to save that foot. Yes. I'd rather heard, we got to get you back in there because that's how we're going to get rid of this infection or whatever. But I think that's just the way he talked, Hey, I think in his eyes is like, man, we got to get you back in there so we can save this foot,
Keep going.
Kind of like we got to get you back in here so we can pop that zit on your face. It's okay. And I think I think that's the way he talked. And so, so I'm antsy and I'm home squirting stuff up my nose. That's a lot of fun. Antibiotics and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. But that scared me when they say we're going to stick tubes in your ears.
Right.
I'm like, it's kind of like hearing aids. Are they going to be there forever? No. They're just
sure.
So temporary. I said, okay. They better be, or I'm going to be bitching about it. Yep.
We're not going to let that. It's going to be
the lady that's in charge of my hyperbaric thing. I also met with her today. I'm kind of her patient now, and I said, well, I guess this hyperbaric thing, that's the shizzle manizzle, isn't it? It's kind of like the thing to have because there's people that have dialysis. All kinds of people use these beds. And she said, yeah. And she was rewrapping my foot. She goes, this looks 1,000,000 times better than when you first came here. She goes, this looks pretty good. So if we can get the little infection that's down inside it, get rid of that. Wow. We're just, which we will. So anyway, so that's why I became a musician basically, because I thought when I get older, it gives me a reason to keep my leg because I still want to perform.
Right.
And I want to open You're the Ticket. I didn't want to open Come See the Peg Leg Cowboy as Love It or Lose It music show.
Well, so one thing I want to say is my mom is such a big fan of this show, but she also wants you to mention that she was your teacher as well. You remember that?
Yeah, that's been a while. No. Yeah, it was Mrs. Wiley. Yeah. She was always kind of quiet and calm and just got the job done, but she was yeah, she's one of those teachers. She was one of those, nothing wrong with her, or she's just fine. We enjoy going to class, She's she had people skills. She knew how to treat people. And
she still does. She still does. But I thought that was a good point.
I had a science teacher one time in Crane. At that time, it was the old school, and you went down the very last stairs down to the science room. This guy was, man, I don't know. He was kind of half there, big fat guy. And one day he just started going around the room going, hey, you, Bobby, have you had a spanking since you've been in school? Well, yeah. How about you? Have you had a spanking? Yeah. They got to me, have you had a spanking? I go, nope. He goes, well, come up here. You need one. And he had a board, a spanking board.
Oh,
and
Lord.
He made me drop my jeans, set my underwear, and he hauled off and hit me, and it made whelps. And that's when Knee Deep in Rubber made a trip to the high school. Said, why did this guy take this board and baseball bat my son on the butt? And they had this guy leave school for a while because my dad said, I'll be back tomorrow. And I'm my dad, I'm whipping his ass. That's my kid. And to this day, I mean, nobody there had all it was, he asked some people if you got a whipping. And when he asked me, I said, no. Boy, that was the wrong answer. But yeah, they went ahead and let him go. He got fired. And I still had whelps on my butt. And
well, that is how it was in that time. It was a different time entirely.
Yeah, he sat under a heat lamp with a thermometer in his mouth. We didn't understand it, but and he'd pass out a test for us to do. And the person that had all the answers, we just pass it around. Everybody just copy it, And by the end of he'd be like, I gave you all a test 2 days ago, and you all got 100% on it. That's good. So we're going to do another one today. I thought, you're stupid. You're stupid. How'd you get to be a teacher? But of course, that was the old school I went to. Now you had to understand the little gym was there, the old gym.
Right.
That's where if you went to school that morning, now this is a different time, and you'd find the girl you were dating, and you'd sit in the bleachers in the old gym and hold hands. Right. Boy, that was exciting. Now, if you ever wanted to go down there in that hallway, if you turned right, that cut through a dressing room to the other side of this building. But that's where the girls always dressed. So there's a lot of times we just start to cut through there, and they, what are you doing in here? Oh, sorry. And back in those days, there was two twins that went to Crane. The last name was Brandt, Brandt.
Okay.
And we were in whatever, freshmen or whatever. They were just beautiful. I mean, they were like models. They were just, there's no way you're at this school at my age. So I got to date one of them. And then when you dated somebody like in Crane, you had to go downtown to the little dime store and buy a little ring that you could give them, because that meant you were dating, And they would trick me. They put the ring on the other one's finger, and I'd sit up in the bleachers with the other one for 30 minutes before school started. And then they would just laugh, and the other one comes. She goes, what are you doing sitting with my sister? Give me my ring back. So, people say I jump from one subject to the other. I do, but it's
you do.
That's my mind. I get bored with whatever I'm talking about. Hit the next
Love
one.
it. That's a good thing, definitely.
Hey, everybody. This is Dale Wiley, and he had a birthday this week.
I did have a birthday this week. And also, I want to stay on this topic because twins are a good subject, because I was so in love with the Smooch twins. This is more Brad Price's age, because he's talked about me with them, because they were so pretty, so wonderful. And then later in my high school years, there were the twins in high school in Republic, and I can't remember their names, but I get to date one of them, and that was so fun. And I remember so specifically trying to figure out whether this is one I was dating or not dating, because that's not a good feeling to have.
I remember that name.
Right. The Spooks.
And I used to date. There were some other twins. I think they went to Billings. Maybe they went to Crane or whatever. Gower was their last name.
Okay.
And yeah, we kind of dated, I guess. I don't know. She had some guy that was after her, and she liked me better. And man, school and puppy love, it was all so cool. It was but it was yeah, there was your mom might. I was going to say there was some wild times went on, but no, they weren't, Mrs. Wiley.
Right.
Mr. Gentry.
Yes.
Oh, don't go down the stairway or the hall holding hands with the girl, because he would come and grab your hands and pull them apart, and then he'd say, we won't have none of that in school. Yeah, just don't try to shake my hand. Okay. And yeah, fun times. Growing up in the school was fun times. But, and I don't know why I started playing music. Well, when I was in third grade in Eldon, Missouri, I told you I saw Gordon Terry, and he was at Lee Mace's Grand Ole Opry. And from that day on, I wanted to play guitar. They took me to a music store, and there was a lady that taught guitar, and she said, "If we can find a guitar that his hand will fit around the neck, I will teach him as long as he keeps interest in it." We found a used Fender, and it did, and I started taking lessons from her. Helen McMillan was her name, and then she's cool because she had a son, and they lived house that looked like it ought to be on the lake, but it wasn't on the lake. But but him and his guys were always rehearsing whenever I'd go. She'd go, "Oh, they're going to be done here in like 10 minutes. They would go ahead and give you your guitar lesson."
Right.
She was so good. And then that's when my parents bought me a Fender Mustang, 64, 65, something like that. Just, oh, that was unbelievable. And
that is an awesome guitar.
Amazing guitar. Well, I tried to start a band one time with a cousin. That was a worthless deal, but he'd come over to my house. So my dad ran a little department store. And so I went down there and I bought me and him 2 bright yellow shirts. And I gave him one. I said, "I already named the band. We're the Lightning Bugs. That's who we are." Now that was 6th grade mentality. So, but back in those days, yeah, I decided I wanted to play. And then when I was a 6th grader, that was in 3rd grade. When I was a 6th grader, she gave me 2 or 3 students to teach so I could make money. And, you have some high school guy come over to your house and you're in 6th grade and he's like, "You're in high school." Yeah, like he wants to listen to what you're telling him.
Right.
But I just kept doing it. And then I got in high school and I had my friends and we all started up bands. And as graduation would happen, you move on, and then you start finding guys that you could actually get out and start making a living doing it.
Right.
And as I said, was doing the rock and roll thing for a long time. I was in Ponca City, Oklahoma. It's like 100 degrees outside. I went to a Walmart. Back in those days, I bought a cassette of this new group I'd heard of called Alabama. I'm going to check these guys out. And it was like, I was at the pool listening to it in my Sony Walkman. And I'm like, I listened both sides like 5 or 6 times. I'm like, man, this is pretty good because I grew up in the Ozarks. I can understand everything they're saying. Right. It's a whole different direction. This is fun. Now, and then a girl that I was dating from Tulsa, she drove down there that night. She got there only to find me in my Halloween costume as a red lobster. Because I laid at the pool and listened to Alabama all day. Oh, I couldn't even move. I was a red lobster with a white flying V. And I don't think 2 inches on the stage. I'd be like, "Oh, ow." And did that. And that's when we switched to country music. And some of the guys that played with me had like Marshall amps and stuff. They go, "I went and sold my Marshall amp. I got a Peavey." Back in those days, Peavey amps, that was country. And a lot of the guys I played with all then Crazy Al, I need to get him on here someday. I met him.
Yes.
And Crazy Al's done everything. You could put Crazy Al in Jeopardy anytime you want to. He can answer every question. He's just, his whole life, he's read newspapers and TV and he's just smart. And Crazy Al, but he had a drinking problem, bad drinking problem. And we had to deal with that for years. And, he was funny. Crazy Al was worse than me. He'd talk like this. He'd go, "Hey, Dale, yeah, I used to have a job. Hey, I worked making garage doors and the openers for garage doors. Openers for garage doors are kind of like a remote for a TV. TV speed. I just got this new TV, and I got it. I went down to the such and such store. I was going to go to the other store, and but back when bam, 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 bam. And he's a fun guy. He's still a great guy. He's in Memphis now, and I first met him. He came. Remember the old in Springfield, they hit you. No, it's a country bar out on Glenstone.
I don't know that bar.
Top Rail.
Okay.
So I met Crazy. I was in there, and he was a real friendly guy, fun guy. I said, "You don't know of any bass players, do you?" "No." And he wore hearing aids, so everything he talks was real loud. Yo, what's your name, Rick? "Yo, I play the bass." I go, "Do you?" "Yeah." And he goes, I play bass and I like Alf. I go, you play bass and you like Alf? Yeah. I go, I love Alf. All right, well, let's practice. And he ended up moving to Crane. I told you he lived at that Hoffman's Courts or whatever they were. And yeah, Crazy Al. He would be a person to have on here. I mean, he worked for the Who.
Really?
Yeah, he was in charge of Peter Townsend. He was his little guy who hung out with him. He said he can't tell you how many times he had to go to the front desk and apologize for the TVs they threw out the windows of the hotels.
No doubt.
And he worked for Phil Keggy, and he worked for Joe Walsh, roadie type stuff. Yeah, and he played in a lot of bands, and he's done a ton of stuff musically. And his bass he'd play was an old Fender. I don't know if it's a jazz or a P bass, but it was all. It's just ever since he had it, it had any sticker or his hand marks, wore. Fun guy. He's just in Memphis. If I can ever get a hold of him on a good time, he'd get on here and talk with me. He's
great. That's awesome.
He talks more than I do. Yeah.
Well, that's fun. That's what we need. We need people to be on here.
That's kind of how I did the music thing all these years.
Yes.
And doing the country thing, those gigs were paying more money. And then I went through that era when everything turned country.
Right.
I mean, in Springfield, every bar that was a rock bar turned into a country bar.
Right.
In Branson, there was a million places down here that turned into country bars, as in the days of Boot Scoot and Boogie and George Strait started, and Randy Travis, all those guys is just starting.
Right.
And it was fun playing because we would kind of play like our rock roots. I mean, we were a lot of fun, but we were playing country. So it was, people liked us. I mean, we were all over the country. Of course,
and that's probably a good point because we're getting close to the show. And so
we were gonna name our band after your band. Was that Ghost Nuts or what was it? What was the name of it?
Glasnost.
Oh, that one, yeah. And but it was already taken. So I can't believe you have that name. Of course, I told you I had a band that was called Perpetual Motion.
You were much cooler band names than I was.
And then Rock Bottom, I guess, where did that come from? Kiss. No.
Yes. Because we also need to make sure that everybody knows they can email me at dalewishow@gmail.com and get on the show. Come on, because we'd love to have you. Wherever you are, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, because I want to get to know you. And we're working on a thing here in Branson. We're working quite hard. And
we are.
The people that are going to be involved with it are friends of ours. I mean, it's
exactly.
I want to get to know you. I mean, if it's somebody gets on here and we hit it off, and you may have a job in Branson, making money, or at least selling corn dogs in the lobby. Yeah,
at least only corn dogs. That would be great. A great job. Corn dogs only restaurant. That sounds good.
I don't think any music shows down here have corn dogs. I don't think so.
Well, we need to introduce that, definitely. That seems like a winning proposition, definitely.
Yeah, maybe. It could be.
So it's about time to end the show. Knee deep in rubber. And lead us out.
No, we got a minute.
Okay, well, let's do it. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Tell me about life in Eldon. What was that like?
Do you know where Eldon is?
Yeah, I certainly do. I drive through it every time on the way to the lake.
It's up by Lake of the Ozarks.
Right.
One of the coolest things about Eldon, they had a little Dairy Queen type thing that was called the Creamy, and they made foot-long chili dogs. That's if you went there and you lived there, you ate foot-long chili dogs and milkshakes. I mean, that's just it. Lake of the Ozarks, I played there a lot. I played some house. We had a club owner one time. He told us, "Well, I can't afford to have you guys here." And we were right up from Dog Patch. We weren't very far from being right on the strip.
Right.
And we had a club owner that said, "I'll give you guys $700 a month to pay for you somewhere to live because I can't afford a motel 7 nights a week. And for $700 for 5-6 guys for a month.
Right.
I mean, he said, surely you can find something for that because a motel was more like $700 or $800 a week. So we found these condos right down by the lake, and we met the lady, and we go, we'd really, do you have, yeah, we've got a 3-bedroom condo overlooks the lake and the boat docks. We want to rent it, but we're not big partiers. We're not going to tear nothing up. We just want a place to live. She goes, I've got bartenders and waitresses and all kinds of people from clubs that live here. And she goes, can you guys handle $500 a month?
Wow.
We said, yeah, but no. We're going to give you $700 a month because that's what the club owner gave us, and we're just happy to be somewhere, so it's yours. And she,
awesome.
I'm not going to take it. Doesn't matter. Take it. It's yours. And then the next morning, a friend of mine, Mark Schaefer, looked like a big biker guy from the lake. Really nice guy. He's passed away a long time ago, but we get up and he's in our living room. And big glass windows overlooks the lake of the Ozarks. And he's watching TV, and I go, what are you doing here? He goes, you guys got my TV. You took my TV from my house. I'm watching it. And we went outside where the cable all came in and bought a little splicer thing. And so we had cable. And it was fun. That was one whole summer at Lake of the Ozarks. And Eldon was a good little town. I went until I was in 6th grade there.
Right.
And so I didn't miss a whole lot. I mean, I did date a girl there when I was in 3rd grade. We would write little notes to each other in classroom. Her name was Wendy Widmer, so it's WW and mine was MR. So we'd write little notes that said WW plus MR. And then she'd always call, we're going to the movie theater Saturday afternoon. Me and my girlfriend, you want to go? I'd go, Mom, can I go to the movies? No, you're not going to the movies. Unchaperoned. So I never got to go. And then when I went to SMS, we went out a little bit because she was going there.
Sure.
I mean, after we'd been there for a while, we ran into each other.
Right.
And so Eldon, it's got fond memories. But
right. That's fun. And needing rubber every day from 4 to 4:30.
See, and I did that normal. I did my minutes worth of stuff in about 4 minutes. So
that's fine.